fantastic performance against Aston Villa at Dean Court yesterday. Um, I thought that the lineup was going to be the same, apart from Lloyd Kelly. Of course, Kirkes come in for him because of his injury. But I tell you what a performance! And I want to pay credit to some people that were as particularly good in that game. Let's start off with the midfield. And let's start off with Anton Semenyo, who has been absolutely excellent. Now, I remember when we spoke with Mark McAdam quite some time ago, it was a thing that, Anton Semenyo sometimes blew a little bit hot and cold for Bristol City. He's not showing any of that. And I think that is a full credit to Andoni Iraola. We'll come on to Iraola in a bit, but Anton Semenyo is looking dangerous. He's controlling the ball fantastically well up in the air. He's physical. He's a real presence. He's fast. He's dangerous. And of course, what a well taken goal. Um, I think Semenyo is outstanding, and what a signing this was by Richard Hughes and the club. A lot of criticism has been aimed at Richard Hughes, but I tell you what, he did get that right, and he keeps getting players like that right. And I tell you what, fantastic, fantastic, fantastic performance. Likewise, a man that had was living in his father's shadow, because at the end of the day, when you've got a father like Patrick Kluivert, it's always going to be very, very, very difficult to actually, well, live up to your reputation and your family name. Patrick Kluivert was an absolutely outstanding player. One of the most talented players you'll ever watch. And Justin, I think, has found it difficult at a couple of places he's gone to actually establish in himself and get his own identity. He's showing that at Bournemouth. And some of the dribbling, mazy runs really show why we actually, put that our money where, it- well, money where our mouth is, and paid the amount, because he is, to be honest, I think he's a player that is perfect for Andoni Iraola's style. And I don't know why we wasn't playing him so much at the start of the season, but it's really shown, since Aston Villa, I know there's been a couple of people that have said, well, Aston Villa weren't on their day. I tell you what, I think, Aston Villa looked very, very good themselves. I just think we kind of bashed them. It was a quality encounter. And, to compete with a side of that level after, well, let's say a month and a bit ago, when we got beat by Everton. And nobody can deny that was a terrible performance by the whole team that day. It was horrendous. The Wolves game wasn't particularly much better either. Probably a little bit better. Arsenal, you expect to be beaten by, but Everton, that performance was atrocious. And that was when Everton were probably on their backsides. I know they've picked up a little bit now, but they were on their backsides at that time. And really, we was part of it for kick-starting their season. Um, but Andoni Iraola, I said that I think we had to make the change. He got that win against Burnley, got a win against Newcastle, got that win against Sheffield United, and I tell you what, was so close to getting a win against Aston Villa, which really would have, put ourselves back on the map, given everybody so much confidence in Areola. I think he got the tactics spot on, and he's got the tactics spot on in the past couple of games. Maybe we did need to give him time, and maybe I was wrong, and to be honest, I'm absolutely delighted I was wrong, because he seems to have got the mix right. Ryan Christie, what a player! What a player he is under Andoni Iraola. Was he as good under Gary O'Neill? Probably not. Was he as good under Scott Parker? Again, probably not. But I tell you what, under Iraola, players are shining. They really are. And full credit to every single one. Because was there a player that had a poor game? I don't think so. Marcus Tavernier, absolutely excellent performance again. Again, he was honestly, his driving runs. To be honest, the only player that I think was disappointing when he come on, but he didn't have much time, is Phil Bill. And we'll come on to Phil Bill because I don't think that Phil Bill. This is going to sound horrible because Phil Bill's been a great servant for this football club, but I don't think he fits Andoni Iraola's style. I think Andoni Iraola was persisting with Phil Bill and trying to get him into this squad, trying to make sure that he was keeping his place. Of course, he played so well under Gary O'Neill. Under Iraola, I don't think he does. I don't think he does. I think, in that deeper role, not that more advanced role just behind Solanke, in a deeper role, he's not as effective. He's not as good. He looked a little bit lost yesterday. He looked a little bit disheartened. Um, of course, there was all that thing, on I don't even know what it was all about, but I think it was something to do with the current war, which is terrible at the moment, of course, in Israel and Palestine, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that is resolved as soon as possible. And you know what's happening in Gaza is horrendous. All that. You know, it's mindless killing of women and children, and it needs to stop. But um I think that his message was fair enough. If I hope he wouldn't be dropped because of that, because I think he actually said the right things in that message. From what I understand, you know. So, but moving back onto the football, I think he looks a little bit disheartened, and that's a real shame. Because he is a good player. He's a talented lad. I think he's a confidence player. I think when he lacks that confidence, I think you get half the field bill that you would normally. Um, so yeah, bit of a shame. Um, but I don't think he fits Iraola style. And if he doesn't fit Iraola style, and he's not going to get his game time here, is he best off moving elsewhere? Probably. Yeah, probably. Um, let's look at the back line. Neto has been outstanding. Since his cock up, let's say against Wolves, he's been outstanding. And again, he made a very very good save. In that first half, very very good save. So that's good. Senesi, confident, bringing it out. Zabania, probably young, probably a little bit inexperienced, probably, you could say a little bit naive at times, but every game that goes past, he's getting better and better and better. Kirkes, again, excellent going forward. And Smudge, wow, Smudge is Smudge. He does what he says on the tin, and sometimes you need that player. Do you know what? One thing that I did say, earlier on in the season is we haven't really got any natural leaders, and I do feel that that we haven't got those natural leaders. I think in Smithy we do. So I think fingers crossed he'll go from strength to strength as well. Um, I think Dom was, again, excellent. Again, well taken goal. He's well, to be honest, he was unlucky. He was very, very unlucky when he slid in. In that first half, if he had made contact with Semenyo's, cross, I think he would have put it in the back of the net. And I think, um, yeah, such a shame, such a shame. But at the end of the day, and I tell you what was a bit of a shame was, the equaliser for Aston Villa. Ollie Watkins, It was the one time probably in that second half where a player didn't mark Watkins. He peeled away and the header was fantastic. Well, the header was sublime. I thought, I knew that Ollie Watkins was going to be a danger. I knew that he was going to get on that ball. I think Leon Bailey's goal was very, very good. You can't complain against any of the goals for Aston Villa. I think our goals were well taken as well. The VAR decision, and the referee. VAR is an effing joke. And I'll say that, on behalf of the Villa fans as well as our fans, I think it's an absolute joke because really, how long should it take? Really, a referee, and this is why the standard of refereeing has gone down in the Premier League because you think in the Championship, those referees have to make decisions. They have to make the calls. They have to go, right, okay, is that a penalty or is that not? You've got potential.